Hey, what is happening, guys, and welcome to the first episode of the Mullins Muster Podcast. We're super excited to be here with you today, and we hope that we can add some value to you, your teams, and your organizations. This is our first episode, so if we do add that value, we ask that you leave a rating and review, and that you share it with as many people as possible so we can add value to others as well. So we're going to go ahead and dive right in. We're getting right into the power of thank you. Oftentimes within any type of business or organization, the business leaders are always asking, what's the return on investment? What is the return on investment? And that could be for anything that you're doing. If you're putting time and effort or money into something, into a project, you want to know what the return on investment is. Well, we're getting into formal and informal recognition and what that return on investment could be. The world that I live in, there's a lot of formal recognition, and there's definitely a place for that where we do quarterly awards. Some people do monthly awards. We give out medals for things. We give out unit awards. There's all types of things that we can do, and those, like I said, those have their place. But honestly, the most powerful type of recognition is informal recognition. In fact, I was in a class probably 10 years ago or so, and the lady came in and she was talking about this very topic. She was talking about informal recognition, and she mentioned that people would rather be informally recognized for a job well done than they would have sex. Now, I don't know what her target audience was when she was giving that information out or got that information. I don't know if she was speaking with a group of women or a group of men or a mixed bag. I don't know where she got that information, but it absolutely floored us. The crowd were like, no way. But that goes to show the power of informal recognition. And, but there's all kinds of ways that you can give informal recognition. You can give some extra cash. Maybe you're in a position where you can do that, and you give somebody, say, $150. Hey, take your spouse out to eat. It's on us. We appreciate all you do. We appreciate the value you bring to our organization, and so hey, this is on us, right? Go get yourself a nice meal somewhere. Thank you so much. Or maybe you can just give some time off. Maybe it's just, hey, go leave early, go pick your kids up from school, spend the afternoon with them, spend the time with the ones that matter, because we know that you give it your all every single day while you're here with us, and we appreciate you, and so we're going to go ahead and let you go a little early today. And there can be all kinds of ways. Or it could be as simple as you taking someone else out to lunch. Hey, I appreciate all you've done. And I can't let you go early because company policy doesn't allow for that, or I can't give you cash because we just can't do that within our organization. But I'm going to take my own cash. I'm going to take you out to lunch just to say thank you for all you've done. That's a great way of doing it. And it's super important because the workplace is one of the least thankful parts of our lives. And yet we spend more time there than almost anywhere else. We spend so much time at work, and it's the least thankful part of our lives. Half of us say that thank you on a regular basis to somebody that we're directly related to. Half of us tell thanks or give thanks to those that we live in the same house with. But only 15% of us ever say thank you at work. And 35% of us say that they have never, ever been thanked for anything at work. And that's a mind-boggling statistic. There was a Gallup poll that came out not too long ago that says the majority of employees are not engaged at work. Only 18% said that they were engaged. 67% said they were not engaged. And 15% said that they were actively disengaged. Now, I don't know what the crap actively disengaged is, so I'm still trying to figure that one out because, in my opinion, you're engaged or you're not. But 18% are engaged, 67% are not engaged with what they do at work. There was a study released by the John Templeton Foundation that surveyed over 2,000 American adults, and they found that people are less likely to feel or express gratitude at work than anywhere else. They also said that they were not thankful for their current jobs, and they ranked it dead last in things that they were most thankful for. Now, I'm not saying that your workplace should be the thing you're most thankful for. I mean, there's God, there's family, and there's all kinds of other stuff. But I don't necessarily think that work it would be at the bottom of the list for what you're most thankful for. I mean, it's your work helps put food on your table. Your work helps put a roof over your head. So to rank that dead last is kind of startling, because people aren't super grateful for what they have because they don't know if they're truly a part of the team and valued for what they do. I'm going to give you a quick example, quick exercise that you could execute on your own, and just to kind of see where it goes. But, if you were to ask people for help with a simple cover letter, it could be as simple as, hey, I made up this cover letter. Will you look it over and give me some feedback? Send that to a bunch of different people. Get their feedback. Send a note, and it can be an email if you'd like, but just send a note over to say, hey, I got your feedback. Do that to a handful, and then to another handful, send them a note that says, hey, thanks for taking the time to look this over. I got your feedback. I appreciate it, and I'm grateful for it. You acknowledged everybody. One was a neutral response, which is better than no response at all, but it was a neutral response and just saying, hey, I got your feedback. The other was, hey, thank you for all that you do. Thank you for taking the time to do that. I'm really grateful. If you do that, the ones that got the thank you response will be 66% more likely to help you again, versus the ones that got a neutral response, or if you choose not to respond at all. So 66% more likely to help you again because they got a thank you in response. You do the math. I just mentioned 67% of people are less engaged or are not engaged at work. Well, if I take those 67% and I tell them thank you for a job well done, they're more willing to help a second time than they were before. And so I've now made that a wash, and I've made those 66% engaged, and now we're cooking with Crisco. Now we're making progress, and that creates a whole different dynamic and positive work environment. This type of gratitude can also translate over into your marriages as well. A key ingredient to improving a couple's marriage is gratitude. There was a study that came out of the University of Georgia, and it said that we found that feeling appreciated and believing that your spouse values you directly influences how you feel about your marriage, how committed you are to it, and a belief that it will last. That's the power of being positive, being grateful. They found that when couples are engaged in a negative conflict pattern, expressions of gratitude and appreciation counteract or buffer the negative effects of that type of interaction on marital stability. It increases the likelihood of successful marriages when you show gratitude and you give thanks and appreciation to your spouse. So if you can do that at work, you can absolutely do it at home. There's all kinds of positive impacts that come from being grateful. Think about a time when you were just randomly thanked, when you weren't expecting it. there for a while, I was doing a whole lot of travel for work and a lot of flying, and I had just enough status to have status when it came to flying. And so one day I got on a plane, and the flight attendant came over, and she just walked up and said, "Hey, thank you for being a frequent flyer and for flying with us and for choosing our airline." And I was completely caught off guard by it. I was not expecting it, but I was appreciative for the fact that she had a list, a sheet of paper with people who had status on their airline and where they sat, and she was just going around telling all of them thank you. And that's a small token. And, like I said, I was grateful for the fact that they were willing to do that. And those things add up over time. It's the simple things that are usually the most significant and life-changing. It's the simple things. There's a whole host of studies out there that have found all types of supporting evidence that people who practice gratitude consistently, they experience stronger immune systems, lower blood pressure, high levels of positive emotions, more joy, optimism, happiness. They act more generously, they act with more compassion, and they feel less lonely and isolated. Saying thanks is completely free. It's totally free. It doesn't cost you a dime, not a single cent. And yet it's a real, tangible way to increase happiness, health, and productivity within your workers. Making gratitude an initiative within your company can lead to increased profits, decreased expenses, all while creating an overall better work environment for everyone. So what are some ways you can do this? I mentioned earlier, just to be on the receiving end is awesome, and that helps you feel like you're adding value and that you're a part of the team, but giving the thanks helps so much as well. And we mentioned what some of those health benefits were. So how do you do this? There's a few different ways. You can keep a gratitude journal, and that journal doesn't have to be just things that you're giving gratitude for. It can be things that you received gratitude for as well. There was a 2012 study that showed that people who kept a gratitude journal for 2 weeks, just 2 weeks, showed significant increase in happiness, greater satisfaction with life, and a higher resilience to stress for just keeping a gratitude journal for 2 weeks. Change your language up a little bit. Start using words that show appreciation. Things like givers, blessings, blessed, fortune, fortunate, abundance. Those types of words help change mindsets, help change the way you approach your employees or people, your coworkers. And again, it creates a positive work environment. The last thing, as another example, there's all kinds of things you can do, but another example is to give thank you notes. Handwritten notes go further than you could possibly imagine. I recently listened to an interview with a former CEO of Home Depot, and he talked about how he would write handwritten notes to employees from all around the globe whenever he found out they were doing great things for the company and following some of the core values and getting after the vision of the organization. And then when he would travel around and do site visits at all the stores, he would see these handwritten notes. Some people carried them around with them and said, "Hey, I've been carrying this around ever since you wrote it." Some people had them in their offices next to their keyboards, and some people even framed them, and it was just a small little handwritten note, but they knew that they were a part of an organization that valued them, and they felt like their contributions mattered, and it meant so much. One guy tried to challenge him and said, "This isn't real. This was just printed off, and you just mailed them out to some random employees." So he took it from him, went over to some water, ran it under some water, and the ink bled off the note. He turned around and rewrote the note, that way he didn't just ruin it and be all rude about it. But he did rewrite the note. But that right there showed the guy, hey, no, this is for real, and I appreciate all you've done. And this got back to me because you're doing amazing things. And the guy was all in at that point. Like, he knew that he was doing great things, and he wanted to continue to contribute to a great organization that they were trying to make there within Home Depot. You know, there was a great conversation within back in the 60s and 70s between two legendary college basketball coaches, Dean Smith and John Wooden, and they talked about how important it was to thank teammates and to make sure everyone felt like they were part of the team. And so and if you watch basketball at all now, you see this really at all levels for the most part, from high school up, even into the pros. People point at each other. So if somebody gives you a good pass and you're able to score off that pass, you point to the passer to tell him thank you. And Dean Smith was so adamant about pointing to the passer to ensure that he knew that he was valued and that he knew he was a part of the team, that he made his players do it in practice all the time. And if they did not point to the passer and make sure that they knew that they were appreciative of that pass so they could score, Dean Smith put them on the line and they ran wind sprints. It was that important because, yeah, the one who made the assist, who gave the pass, he doesn't get credit for the points. He didn't score the basket. He didn't make the incredible alley-oop dunk. But he made that score possible. And everybody on the team contributes. And that's why it was so important for these two coaches to ensure that their players recognize each other for a job well done. You know, so I mentioned it earlier. There's all kinds of benefits to just saying thank you. You know, for the one giving thanks, the thanker, it produces positive emotional state. It increases a sense of well-being. It triggers feel-good hormones. It reinforces the virtuous cycle in your brain. The ones on the receiving end, the thankee, they feel higher levels of self-worth. They trigger greater desires to help the thanker. It triggers helpful behaviors towards others. It makes them feel appreciated and that they're needed. And it makes them feel more socially valued. So let's review real quick. The return on investment is huge when it comes to informal recognition and saying something as simple as thank you. That return on investment can get up to 2/3 of your workforce engaged in their work. And when you do that, that'll increase your profits, decrease expenses, and create an overall better place to work. And you can do so by keeping gratitude journals, using positive words such as blessings, blessed, fortunate, etc., and writing a simple thank you note. Doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be several pages. Just a quick little note, handwritten, given to somebody else to say thanks, goes so far. Today's Bible verse comes from Matthew 23:12, and it says, "For those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted." There's no greater way to humble yourself than to say thank you to those around you and who contribute to making your organization an outstanding place to work and a place that they're grateful and thankful to be at. Hey, thanks so much for all your time, guys. It's been an absolute blast, and we're looking forward to keeping this train rolling. If we've added value to you, please share with others, leave a rating and review, and we'll see you next time. Take care.